True chilling night drive, horror stories _war_3, English. Darkness cloaked the desolate road as I embarked on a road trip, a haunting journey that would etch a chilling tale into my very soul. The purpose of my venture was to reunite with a best friend lost to the shadows of time, a companion I hadn't laid eyes upon for an eternity spanning years. His abode, a newly purchased dwelling nestled in the eerie depths of Montana, served as the catalyst for our rendezvous, a sinister excuse to immerse ourselves in the webs of each other's lives. My departure from the familiar confines of home occurred under the shroud of night, a calculated choice necessitated by the obligations of my mundane labor. The clock struck 8 p.m., the witching hour for my journey into the unknown. The road ahead stretched like a yawning chasm, an abyss into which my weary soul was about to plunge. My weariness was profound, having been entrenched in the drudgery of the workday that preceded this nocturnal exodus. Solitude was my silent companion on this treacherous path, and the battle against drowsiness became an odyssey of survival, a relentless struggle waged within me as the forces of fatigue attempted to pull my eyelids shut. The perpetual monotony of the road played its siren's song, luring me towards the precipice of oblivion. The clock's hands moved with deliberate lethargy, casting a grim realization that my grasp on consciousness was sleeping. The forces of sleep clawed at my resolve, their insistent fingers tightening their grip. As the moon glared down from the heavens, my consciousness succumbed to the darkness. From the abyss of slumber, I jolted awake, a sudden shock that thrusted me into a macabre reality. My surroundings were a twisted mirage of panic, as I grappled with the fact that I had veered dangerously off course. My hands, trembling with adrenaline and fear, clutched the steering wheel as I wrestled control from the clutches of a yawning ditch. Trees loomed ominously, their now limbs reaching out to claim me. The moments following my abrupt awakening were consumed by an oppressive stillness. The inky night was punctuated only by the feeble illumination of my car's headlights. With a heavy breath, I exited the vehicle to confront the horrors that surrounded me. My feet met the desolate asphalt, and I stared down into the treacherous ditch that separated the road from the encroaching woods. A sinister ambience wafted through the air, conjured by the absence of any semblance of life. I gazed in both directions, down the forsaken road that disappeared into obscurity. There was naught but darkness, a malevolent void that swallowed all traces of hope. The abyss beckoned, a haunting whisper that told of my isolation in this forsaken realm. Attempting to maintain my composure, I returned to my vehicle and attempted to maneuver my escape, but my efforts were in vain, as my tires spun uselessly, bereft of traction against the merciless terrain. Desperation gnawed at my core as I fumbled for my phone, clutching it like a lifeline. By some twisted turn of fate, a single bar of service clung to me, allowing me to make a desperate call for salvation. The voice on the other end offered a semblance of hope, promising rescue that was agonizingly distant. 2 hours, an eternity within this realm of fear. The confines of my car became my sanctuary, yet even within its perceived safety, I was not spared the tendrils of dread that crept into my consciousness. The minutes crawled by, punctuated only by my ragged breaths and the persistent feeling of being watched. The dense woods beyond the road became a realm of malevolence, a theater of horrors that my mind conjured in the suffocating silence. As time warmed on, my unease grew, an invisible hand that gripped my heart with icy fingers. I lay back in my seat, seeking respite from my torment. But the tendrils of sleep were repelled by the overwhelming sense of foreboding that permeated the air. Every rustling leaf, every distant sound, carved another notch into my anxiety. My gaze shifted toward the road, a desperate hope that a flicker of light would pierce the darkness. And then, like a phantom materializing from the shadows, a truck emerged, its outline a silhouette against the void. I felt a chill crawl up my spine, a sense of dread that gripped me with an iron vice. The truck's sinister presence defied all logic, for it stood dormant, its lights extinguished. My breath caught in my throat as I peered into the darkness, scrutinizing the truck's lifeless form. What wretched spectre had driven it to this desolate crossroads? Panic swelled within me, a tempest that churned with the grotesque unknown. I reached for my phone, my trembling fingers clutching it as I dialed for aid. The voice on the other end was my lifeline, a lifeline that would be severed by the terrors yet to be unveiled. In the time it took for my desperate plea to be heard, a presence emerged, a malevolent figure casting a pall over my fragile refuge. A pair of soulless eyes bore into me, freezing my very essence with their malevolence. I was ensnared in the gaze of this abomination, a mere plaything for its sinister desires. The figure's steps echoed against the asphalt, an impending doom that drew closer with each moment. My pulse quickened, and my heart pounded within my chest like a caged animal. It reached my car, and its presence was suffocating, a miasma of malevolence that left me gasping for air. My desperation intensified as the figure's gaze bore into mine, an unspoken threat that seared my soul. Its fingers danced along the door handle, a symphony of impending doom that resonated within the recesses of my mind. My breaths were ragged, my chest heaving with terror, as I clung to the remnants of my sanity. The figure's voice emerged, a haunting whisper that sent shivers cascading down my spine. Its words were foreign, an incantation that carried the weight of the abyss itself. My eyes remained locked on the figure, its intentions veiled in the cloak of the unknown. The figure's hand struck the window, a visceral blow that jolted me from my paralyzed state. Desperation propelled me into action, my hands fumbling for the ignition, my foot slamming on the gas pedal. My vehicle roared to life, a torrent of power that surged through me. With a screech of tires, I fled from the sinister entity, my heart pounding like a war drum. The road became my ally, each twist and turn a desperate plea for salvation. The truck's headlights flared to life behind me, a predator that pursued its prey with unrelenting fervor. As the miles stretched into infinity, my mind was awash with the realization that I was being hunted, a pawn in a malevolent game. The truck's monstrous form clung to me, its unyielding presence a testament to the horrors that stalked my every move. The police's arrival shattered the night's malevolent grip, their flashing lights a beacon of salvation. Yet, as they arrived, the truck vanished into the shadows from whence it came, leaving behind an eerie emptiness that lingered in the air like a foul stench. The officers' voices offered reassurance, their words a soothing balm to my fractured psyche, but the lingering dread, like a phantom's touch, remained imprinted upon my soul. My account spilled forth in disjointed fragments as I recounted the horrors I had endured. The officers listened intently, their expressions a reflection of a mixture of concern and disbelief, though my words held the power to unshackle me from the horrors of that fateful night. The true depths of the malevolence that had enveloped me remained shrouded. As the investigation unfolded, the chilling truth clawed its way to the surface. Like a beast emerging from the darkness, the truck had been reported stolen, and its connection to my nightmarish encounter remained a mystery, shrouded in shadows. Tire tracks, half erased by time and terrain, offered a breadcrumb trail that led to the heart of the forest, a realm that bore witness to unspeakable atrocities. The trail of footprints, like macabre breadcrumbs, meandered deeper into the woods, an invitation to confront the malevolence that had sought to consume me. With trepidation, but also a burning need for closure, I followed the ominous path, each step a calculated risk that led me further into the heart of darkness. The forest whispered with secrets, its ancient trees cloaked in shadows that seemed to dance with malice. The crunch of leaves underfoot echoed in the oppressive silence, my every footfall a declaration of defiance against the unknown. With every step, the chill that had gripped my soul intensified, a prelude to the horrors that awaited. The trail's sinister destination emerged, a clearing, a barren canvas upon which an unspeakable tableau had been etched. My heart quickened as my eyes beheld the remnants of a campsite, a macabre testament to the depravity that had transpired. Bloodstained earth bore witness to unfathomable suffering, and discarded belongings lay strewn about, a haunting tapestry of the terror that had unfolded. Graffiti adorned the trees, cryptic symbols that seemed to resonate with an otherworldly energy. As I scanned the clearing, my heart caught in my throat. The figures from that night, the ones who had pursued me with malevolence, were nowhere to be found, but their presence, like an invisible noose, lingered in the air. A piercing wind cut through the stillness, and a haunting whisper seemed to reverberate through the forest, a chilling chorus that bore the weight of countless souls. My breath quickened as I realized the truth. The woods had borne witness to more than one victim. The malevolence that had pursued me was not an isolated incident, but a part of a wider web of horror. In the distance, a rustling emerged, like the footsteps of a phantom. My heart raced as I trained my gaze on the source, and a figure emerged, an officer, his eyes haunted by the horrors he had uncovered. His voice trembled as he recounted the twisted tale that had come to light. The woods were a sanctuary for malevolent rituals, a realm where the boundary between the mundane and the supernatural had eroded. As nightmarish details were unraveled, a knot of dread coiled within me. The rituals, the symbols, the malevolent entities that had been summoned, all intertwined to create a tapestry of horror that defied comprehension. The figures that had pursued me were not merely men. They were vessels for ancient forces, bearers of a darkness that had woven its way into the very fabric of reality. The investigation culminated in a confrontation with the abyss itself, a showdown between the forces of good and the malevolence that had taken root. As officers and investigators entered the heart of the woods, a cacophony of shrieks and whispers filled the air, a symphony of despair that echoed the torment of tortured souls. The malevolent figures emerged, their eyes devoid of humanity, their very presence a nexus of horror. A battle ensued, a clash of wills against the abyss that sought to consume us all. The woods seemed to writhe with an otherworldly energy, as if the very earth rebelled against the unholy rites that had transpired within its depths. In a blinding flash of light, the malevolent figures were banished, their forms dissipating like smoke in the wind. The clearing was left in silence, the echoes of horror now replaced by an uneasy peace. The investigation's conclusion brought a semblance of closure, but the scars, both visible and unseen, would forever remain. And so, the road trip that had begun as a reunion with a long-lost friend transformed into a harrowing odyssey through darkness and dread. The malevolence that had sought to ensnare me had been thwarted, its sinister machinations unraveled in the light of truth. As the final embers of that chapter smoldered into the annals of memory, the echoes of that night's horrors would forever resonate, a haunting reminder of the thin veneer that separates the mundane from the malevolent.